Okay, so I'm writing this book. This is a narrative. This is my story. If you want to know my story, this is what it is right here. I'm going to start at the beginning. I'm writing this book, but it's important you guys take this journey with me because this is a book that had needed to come out years and years ago, but I never had enough courage to say it until I had my son. And then I was like, you know what? It's time for me to speak up. Okay? It's time for me to speak up. So, what my family wants me to forget is what this book is called. What my family wants me to forget. I don't know where to start, but I will start with I know everything that happened when I was a young girl. My mother, my father, my aunts, my uncles, and my family, they want me to forget all the abuse, the mental prisons, the molestation with different family members, and my mother, the sex trafficking. I remember it all in that White House. I will never forget those traumatic experiences. Let's go back to one of these traumatic experiences. From my mother putting that, sleepy juice. You know that juice that just make you real sleepy. You know that juice that make you, I can't move my hands sleepy. I'm real tired. Well, one thing about me, y'all, I was a fat, chunky kid. So I love to eat. I still love to eat. So as I was eating, right, I didn't drink so much of the sleepy juice because I had so much food in my belly that I was really full off the food. So I didn't drink a lot of that sleepy juice, but I did have some. Enough to get me sleepy with everybody else, me and my sisters. Well, one night, I didn't have enough sleepy juice. And I remember my eyes waking up slowly, but I couldn't get up. And then I went back to sleep. See, I was in and out with my consciousness during that time, fighting that sleepy juice. Well, the portion of the sleepy juice. And so, let me just set this here, you guys. And so as I'm drinking this sleepy juice, right, I wake up again. This time, it's just me, by myself, on the bed, and my dad's laying across with his legs crossed like he always lay. And I'm sitting on the bed, and my mother is rubbing my back. Now, I was going to read it to you guys, but really, I don't need to put it on paper. I remember it. I don't need to write it down. But I did because this book will be published. And it won't be a long book because we're just going to go over the important facts here. Detailed facts. Because it's important people know that I will not forget anything. So my dad's laying there across the bed with his legs crossed. And I feel his hands rubbing my back. First I can feel somebody touch my hair. I had long hair with braids. And they would touch my hair. And then I hear my nana as they rubbing my back. Yeah. And only one person calls me Nanda. And that is my mother. So confused, again, I'm in and out of sleep. And they wait till I get all the way to sleep where my eyes is closed, I'm on the bed. I hear what I now know as a door closing, but it was a slam. A slight slam. But enough to know it was a door. I'm back unconscious because of sleepy juice. I can't stay up this whole time now, y'all. I'm in and out with the sleepy juice, right? Because remember, I'm still a kid. Then this time I feel something down there in that area. And it feels like I have to pee, and it's tight right there. It feels like I have to pee, but my pee is stuck as I write in the story. It's stuck. And I feel a lot of pressure, and I can't wiggle because I can't move, and my arms is resting like this. And I actually drew a picture in high school of me resting my hands on a man's shoulder like this. Because I remember then. And my mother used to say, you look so restless. You look so like you just a damsel in distress. Like you just want somebody to hold you. She had no idea I remember that I was a damsel in distress with the sleepy juice when somebody was on top of me and I looked helpless, and I was helpless. See, I remember. And I never forget it. And that's why I started posting, you guys, because I think it's important that people see what really happened. Okay? So then, yep, my dad smiled at me. My mother said, my nada nada. Okay, where are we at? So I get sleepy, right? And that all happens. So now, you guys, I wake up. My eyes still slowly, but I wake up. My head turns, and it's like you can feel a man's silhouette, man's thing over my body. I scream, ah! When I can finally muster some. It took a minute because, again, I had to fight that sleepy juice. So when I finally did, my mother, who was right outside the door, because she came in swift, and she came in there, and she hurried up and grabbed a shirt that was on the side, the end of the bed. It's on like the side towards the end. She grabs and covers her face and walks in the corner of that White House. Now, how that White House is set up, okay, it's like the door. It's like you know that little crease where you kind of can turn over and go like this. That's what happened. So she hurried and covers his face. Now I can hear outside the door as they close it. Did she see you? And the person don't want to talk. But what they didn't realize is when they stood up, is when I seen them. And when they stood up, see, this person had a real tiny waist with a keloid on its back. And you know who has a back like that? And a head shape in the back? Similar to mine? My father. So then I had to replay that back because it had the shape of my dad, right? He still had his jeans on. So I seen the jeans he had on earlier that day. And I remember when he used to play Giddy Up on Your Dad's Back. He used to always be hanging off your dad's back. So I know what my dad's back looked like in the back of his head. And so he shook his head no. My mother had me stay in the room for a minute before she came in. And at that time, I had drank some more sleepy juice. They thought that I would forget that. But that wasn't it. Oh, y'all think that was it? No. I had nightmares. Almost every night. Because I remembered that night. The nightmares were so bad that my mom had to shake me. And she would shake. Netta, come on. Netta, wake up, Netta. Netta, wake up, Netta. Netta, wake up, Netta. Wake up. She would shake me because she was scared. Because I was still there at that moment. And I remembered it. And she would shake. And shake and shake. And when that didn't work, she just slapped. Come on. Come on, you gotta wake up. You gotta wake up. This is what she would do. And I know you guys are like, how can she just switch and go to that? Because I was there. I remember it as if I was there. And so my mother then goes ahead. I start biting my lip like my mother too, because it's like a nervous feeling because I kept having nightmares. So what they did was they had me sleep with them in between the bed. Not with my other sisters. It was just me and them in between the bed. And that was even worse. Now, there's been many times those sleepy juices were had, but it was other people watching us. You know, my mother loves to keep certain type of men around her. The men who likes children. Like my dad and his family. like many people, she kept around her all the time because she was into that. So, you know, it triggered me when I was pregnant, and I went and I saw some man talking to my mom, and she had the kid she babysat on her lap. I won't say their name because they're still children, rubbing on her hair and talking to the man. It triggered me so. Because I was like, wanted to vomit. Because I remember I was that little girl sitting on mom's lap. I was that little girl being caressed by my mother when there's another man around. So where were we in the story? Because this is what happened. I don't need to write it down, but I wrote it down because they really want me to forget. Like, they are trying so hard for me to forget, you guys. And they want to paint this narrative for me. But you really you think I won't forget that? See, my mom never showed me much affection, but when she did, it was those times. So I will never forget that. See, it's like Stockholm Syndrome because it's like all we have is our mothers. So because that's all we have, which they make sure of that, who else do you call when you need something or when stuff gets haywire? All you have is your mother. And she makes sure of that. You know that all you have is her. She let me know that at a young age. And she kept control, as she says, over people. My sisters, we all have infertility issues. Which is not ironic, because my mother, even though she wants to act holier than thou and paint a narrative that she's this honest and do-good person, and she can manipulate situations and very cunning. See, one thing about me, I'm very authentic. I'm very authentic. I don't have to be cunning. I don't have to lie if you're telling the truth. Why do you have to be cunning? Why do you have to lie? Why do you have to paint another narrative for somebody else if you're telling the truth? Well, I'm going to tell my truth. And my truth is, my mother wants me to forget that she allowed men to molest me, including my father as we grew up, and my sisters as well, and she thought I'd forget it. She wanted me to forget. She would pay practitioners so I can forget overseas, so I can forget that what happened to her, because she does not want me to remember. But I would never forget those moments in that White House when I was a little girl. I would never forget those incidents. And you know, it's so odd that she was so afraid I wouldn't wake up. She was terrified because she knew the things that she was doing then, and she was having me do then. But wanted to paint me as a sexual person. Why, low-key, you guys, sex trafficking is real. Sex trafficking is real. They just find cunning ways to do it. My mother is very, very smart, very brilliant. But somebody missed the ball in checking her track record. Somebody missed the ball in going over her files and seeing the patterns of when people say something about her, they always recant their story. When people speak about her, they always recant it because they're afraid of her. Why do people recant their stories when they say it? If they are adamant about something and how they feel, why would they recant it? Why would they take it back? Was that child still in the house when they took back those words? Yes. So most likely abuse was going on with that child. So that child was afraid to say anything else about that person. Yes. See, the reason why I can come on here authentic and be true is because I've been honest the whole time. My mother loves being in control. And unfortunately, Stockholm Syndrome is real, even if it's by your mother. And yes, it's a setup. My mother, she thinks I don't know the things that she has done, but she wants me to forget and nobody to believe me. Oh, y'all, she wants nobody to believe me. She has tried so hard. But do you guys know something? Why did God say have faith as a mustard seed? A small little tiny seed. Why would he say that? If the whole world believed in God, why would he say have faith as a mustard seed? Because nobody believed. They say they did, but they didn't. Because he wouldn't ask for a mustard seed of faith. Being the most powerful, why would he ask for a mustard seed? Because nobody had faith in him. Well, I can tell you, nobody had faith in me, and nobody has ever had faith in me, but I've always kept going. Always. Always kept going. No matter the situation. No matter the circumstances. I've always pushed through. Okay? And they think by manipulating me, by painting a certain narrative for me, by trying to call me crazy, say I have mood swings, say I have all these different things which are false and not true. See, what I have is a lot of common sense to know when people are just trying to paint their own narrative. Because the doctor didn't say that until my mother spoke to them on the phone. To try to say, wait, but diagnosed with something, but this, and that, because she wants to have my son. Why does she want my son, you guys? Because the foster kids that she has, they're getting older in age. And she's setting one up to have kids, right? She said one was going to have kids. And the other one was like, yeah, I have 6. I have 4. How many do you want? And the other one's going to go to college. So she's going to be able to get money, right? For the foster care's kid, now that she's 17. And the foster kid's like, yeah, I'm going to have these kids. I'm going to have this kid. I'm going to have that kid. She would. Because they know they're going to have money. And that's what this person lives by. BMWs, Mercedes, money. Money gets this person. Y'all know I'm the opposite. Y'all know I was about to get free products. And that, you know, that cost me lots of money to get that stuff, having shipping, have to do the inventory and all that stuff, and the weight and the scales. Okay? I don't live for money. So, what she does is, she wants to get my son because my son's about to get some money. Okay? He's going to get some money. So, what did my mother say? Oh, well, I want some income. So, what I'll do is, I'll go ahead and I'll just have, take care of this one and then have this one have a baby. So, now she has 2 and she gets 2 of that income because remember, there's 2 of them. So, if one leaves, right, she no longer has that income. And then they're getting older in age. So she wants to have that money for security purposes. Oh, trust me, she was getting paid when she was, these people was babysitting me. See, we thought she was paying them to babysit us. But it was the opposite. They were paying her to babysit us. That is the beginning of my book. That will be published, that will come out. And it's not going to be a long book because I want this to come out ASAP. It might be like 10, 15 pages. And there's more to it too. I was 6. There's so much. See, she thinks I would forget. See, she's trying so hard. She has her friends working with her. She's spending lots of money overseas, lots of money on different practitioners to scramble up things so I can forget. See? But do you really think I would forget those type of experiences? And when I tried to say something, I tried to speak up, finally I had the courage. I was in high school, I had the courage to say, no, she don't need to take care of no more kids. No. She doesn't need to. I can't take this no more. I can't watch her do this to some other kids. I tried to talk to the counselor about it, and of course she painted her whole narrative for them, like I'm just this bad kid who wants attention. And of course she beat the shit out of me. Make sure there's no bruises because she's smart. Then she goes talk shit to me, belittle me, and said you better tell those people that I'm a good mother and that you lie. So I have to go there. And they should know by the look on my face when somebody forces you to say something, but they couldn't get the message I was trying to relay to them. They didn't get it. But I tried to talk to them. And everybody had doubt. Nobody had faith of a mustard seed. Nobody. So I continued to cope with my trauma as my mother belittled me. That's why I'm not a teacher. Because that's why I'm not an artist. Because the belittlingness. And you know, you need to have confidence to finish it in artwork. You need to have confidence to finish up, you know, a good painting. You need to have confidence to be a teacher. You gotta have confidence to do these things. So what did she do? She belittled me. Then if you think that was the end of the sex trafficking when I was a kid, oh no, trust me, it didn't end. My mother tries to get full control. Full control. And so now here she is trying to get a lawyer to battle me. So she can have my son. So she can take him to celebrity parties and have him sit on pedophiles' lap. On other men's lap. And have him hold him. And one time I tried to video camera when she was holding them, because trust me, I didn't just go to my mother's. Why would I be around my mother after all that stuff? It's not just Stockholm Syndrome, right? There's other reasons why my mother just, you guys, where I just can't all of a sudden, I just have to go to my mother's house. I just have this urge to go to mom's house. Now for all my intelligent people, you guys know what's going on. See, my mother thinks she's so clever because she's played the system and got away with a lot of stuff since 1993, 1996. And there's been a couple more, but those for sure dates. And I was young. How would I know I was a baby then? In 1996, how would I know those dates are important? But somebody missed on the paperwork. Somebody didn't pay attention to a lot of red flags and red signs. Somebody missed the ball game. And in turn, I had to go through trauma on my own. I did. And I learned how to cope. By myself. For a very long time. And so now here it is, my mother. So bad once. So bad. Wants my son. She's brought the Lord to go against me. Just to have him. Just so she can have that money, that stability, that income. Just so she can have him around other people at parties and stuff. Now, I've been through it. Somebody needs to check her track record because somebody missed and skipped the ball. And in turn, I suffer from it, but I suffer by myself. There's records of that. Go back to school records. Go back. There's records of stuff. And yes, she tried to say I was on drugs, and then they drug test me. They said, you're not even on drugs. What is it? There's no marijuana in your system. This is when I was 14, 15. I had to go. After talking to a therapist, I had lied. So I was going to psychiatry class, in college psychiatry class. And I said, my teacher said we have to see a psychiatrist just so I can have somebody to talk to. Just so I can speak to somebody. My teacher didn't say you had to see a psychiatrist. I need to speak to somebody because I want to tell them. I want to get it out. Because as you're studying psychology, you're seeing how, wow, this is not good behavior. My mother's been treating me like, and it has affected me. You see it right in your psychology class, because I was taking college psychology class. They have my records. Look at it, it's there. I was taking psychiatry class, so I lied and told her I need to see a psychiatrist just so I can tell them. They said, no, she doesn't need to be with her mother. Because I told them the honest truth, how she talks to me, what she calls me, how she slaps me around, how she says, what she say? What you looking at, bitch? I'll knock your block off. And laughs and thinks it's funny. So this is my mother. But let you see her, she'll be like, hey, yes, how can I help you? But I'm the insane one. This is just what I see all my life. That's why I never went against her again, because after that, I'm like, nobody's going to believe me. Nobody has a faith of a mustard seed. Not one person. And it's unfortunate, because that's all a child needs, to somebody have faith in them. Right? Now, my mother thinks I don't know what I know. And she's working hard at trying to have me forget the deed she had done that was so unjust to me and unfair to me my entire life. Because if you thought the abuse ended there, it did not. It didn't. But the abuse ends here. The abuse ends here. Even though I am 29 years old. And yes, I've been through a lot in my life. Deliberately, from family, purposely, intentionally. Because it's about money, it's about greed for them. When I literally ask me if I'm getting a cut. No, it's everybody else is getting a cut of the money, right? Everybody. When I'm the one who went through all that stuff back then. And had nobody. So the only reason I'm discussing this with you guys today is because I'm writing the book. And this book is what everything I say is going to be on paper. I really don't have to write it. I can just, at this point, you know, we have YouTube. Things are so much quicker to just go ahead and speak to you guys about it. But I want to keep it for my son just when he gets older. I guess not for him to know, not this part of the book, but it'll be a different kind of book, right? Because I don't want him to know these kind of details, but I do want him to know a different book. But just so he can know a different narrative of me. This one will be different. This one just to tell my story. But I want to tell a different story for him. Because people love to create narratives for other people after putting them through things, right? When that is not the case. Especially not for me. So, as your teacher, of course, I'm theatric. We have comedy, we have fun, we laugh, we cry. We do those things because as teachers, when you have a student teacher, the student is a teacher, the teacher is a student. Right? So you share that bond. And most people don't understand what a bond is, so they don't know. But we bond when we laugh together. We bond when we communicate. And even though people are on the other side of the screen, listening is a form of communication. Period. Like, everybody wants to act like what I say, they just don't understand. Like, what I say is so taboo, but if you really listen, right, they will understand what I'm saying. So that is just something that I want to talk to you guys about. And yes, it's emotional, but I've learned how to cope with it. Like, that's what I'm saying. Some things I'm not emotional because I've learned how to cope. It's been years I had to cope with that. Years by myself. So I cope by drawing. And I drew that picture. It's a big picture. And it's in the top of the garage on the refrigerator. I can tell you where it's at. It's in our house. On top, yeah. It's a big, and it's blue all around it. And it was links. It was chains wrapped around it. Ooh. I even linked the chains wrapped around me and my father. Because I felt stuck. Because I couldn't get up. So there's, you guys, there's chains. But you know it's generational, right? The chains usually mean generational as well. So, but again, his other family members get down like that. How many people in our family have been through that? Check the track records. How many people in our family? I can name so many people who's been molested and nobody spoke up. Everybody was scared to speak up because they were too popular or they convinced everybody that they're a good person. My family have been doing this for many, many years. Even before I was born. On my mom's side and my dad's side. I'm just happy to be caught in the middle. But who I won't be caught in the middle is my son. And I know everybody's trying to paint this narrative, but I can tell you one thing, I'm honest. Because what do I have to lie for? You guys are not going to beat me like my mama beat me. Y'all can't beat me like my mama beat me when I was a kid. And the pain I felt when she was just beating the shit out of me. So I want to tell this story. And I'm going to continue to write my story because I will never forget. Oh, I'll never forget. Ever.